All right. What's up, y'all? Will here at Schedulefly, and this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast brought to you by us here at Schedulefly. Super simple web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service and all at a low price point. We have been doing this now 19 years, and most of you, if you're first tuning into this podcast, have probably never heard of us. We've been kind of flying under the radar. But we have the number one rated restaurant employee scheduling app on Capterra. We're proud of that. We have a 4.9 rating. We have over 5,000 super happy customers, and we take great care of them. So if you are on pencil and paper or Excel, go to schedulefly.com, click the free trial button, call my cell phone number. It's right there on the website, and I'm happy to help, but it'll make life easier from everybody, from the owner for projecting labor costs to the managers, just creating schedules and communicating with the team, and to the teammates who these days don't really want to have to call in or drive in or get a spreadsheet email to them. They want their schedule at their fingertips. They want to be able to trade shifts easily. So from an employee retention perspective, something to think about. And if you're on another scheduling platform, look, like I said, you've probably never heard of us. I can tell you that you are probably paying 2 or 3 times more than you would pay for Schedulefly for all the same features and functionality. So head on over to schedulefly.com. Give me a call. You'll get me on my flip phone. You can call me and text me on this thing. So I'm happy to talk to you anytime. Enough about Schedulefly. Let's get into Restaurant Owners Uncorked. We are approaching our 16th anniversary of launching this podcast in March. We've done over 650 episodes, and this is my first chance to get to know Isaac Lee Collins. Goes by Isaac at Fifth and Emery, and we have been connected by a mutual friend who is a podcast listener, and which is really cool. I love how this stuff comes back around. So, Isaac, just take a minute and introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I have so many questions about your flip phone, so we'll get into that as well. But thanks for having me. Isaac Lee Collins, founder, CEO, Fifth and Emery Frozen Yogurt and Chocolate. Actually, before that, I was a franchisee for 14 years, 10 of those being another frozen yogurt concept called Yogurtini KC. We recently rebranded last year, which we'll definitely get into all that. Ended up getting into business right out of college. I was 22 years old, kind of cut my teeth in a chocolate store, franchise chocolate store called Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. Had no clue what I was doing, like a lot of us in year one, and I just figured it out. Had good advisors around me that kind of helps me through that process of learning all the things. Each year got better and better. Each year took more and more risks and ended up getting me all the way here. So Fifth and Emery Frozen Yogurt and Chocolate is a self-serve frozen yogurt, chocolate, and caramel apple business. I've combined the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory with the Yogurtini piece, and so now I have both. And we'll definitely get into kind of why we ended up doing that. But I truly love it. Love the community that we built. Love the customers that we serve. We're here in Kansas City on both sides, the Missouri side and the Kansas side. We have 5 locations across Kansas City Metro.
Oh man, I need to get out there and try that. I just had a you've ever been to Jack Stack Barbecue?
Oh yeah, one by my house actually. I went less than a mile.
I had Taylor on here recently, and I was like, man, I got to come. So now I've got like another reason to come by there for sure. All right. Well, okay. So when did you get out of college?
Graduated the winter of 2011 and then got my business in the summer 2012.
Okay. And that's when you started working at Rocky Mountain?
Yep. I actually managed one right after college, actually the end of college after my football season was over. Managed that for 7 months, which actually helps me get into purchasing mine just 7 months after that.
You played football in college?
Yep. Went to Missouri Western, actually right up the road here from Kansas City. D2 program. We were good back then. So played corner, a little bit of safety, a lot of special teams, and I was one of the slower corners, but I was the biggest one we had. I like to hit, so they used me in those situational kind of circumstances.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's good. It's fun.
I bet it was. Oh, wow. Did you, okay, so you're there, your football career's winding down, you're wanting to get into business. You start managing Rocky Mountain,
Hmm. Hmm.
and had you been in hospitality before? Had you worked in like high school or had any other jobs in hospitality?
Yeah, so pretty much since I started working, I was in some. I actually never done anything but retail. So
Okay.
when I was 15, I started working at Best Buy. Did that for a few years. Worked at Sears for a few years back when Sears was still around, still a thing. Lisa's not here. And then I was really pushing against doing food. I just didn't want to work with food. It just seemed weird. Didn't want to serve, didn't want to host, didn't want to do any of that kind of stuff. But all my friends were working at the brand new Olive Garden that was just built. So I ended up applying, ended up getting the job, and I ended up working at Olive Garden all 4.5 years that I was in college. And man, I loved it. It's probably still my favorite thing that I've ever done, probably more than the day to day of my businesses, because every day is just a new experience. Like every table is a new experience. So I fell in love with it. Just putting smiles on people's faces, getting to interact with them, building community, having those regulars come back. So I really fell in love with food. So when I had the opportunity to get into Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, it was a different modality, but it was still just service to people.
Mm. You must have learned a lot at Olive Garden. I imagine they have really good training and systems and processes.
Oh yeah. Yep. I've now worked in a handful of restaurants, been in a few restaurants, had clients who own restaurants, and I still haven't found a system better than Olive Garden's, from the kitchen to what happened out front. I mean, everything just worked seamlessly. So yeah, they definitely know what they're doing.
Mm. Okay. So you realized you really enjoyed serving people and welcoming people and providing hospitality to people.
Yeah, man, it was just next level. Like, it's funny because, we have had so many employees over the last 14 years. We've always been in transient areas. And so we have turnover because we're mainly hiring high schoolers and college kids. So, like, there is an end in sight because they're going off to college or they're moving or whatever that's going to be. And I always ask people, like, why do you want to do this? Especially the managers that we hire. Like, why retail? Like, I think there's a certain part of when you keep coming back to retail and hospitality and food over and over. I'm like, what makes you a glutton for punishment? And I already know the answer for people like that. It's always, I love serving people. I love putting smiles on faces. I love creating an ecosystem where they feel seen or heard or loved, or I love just that whole vibe of it. And I think you have to be that person to continually come back to this industry because it's tough. I mean, long days, long nights. You're always being told that you're not doing something right through reviews. But why do we keep coming back to it? And for myself and my team, it's because we want to see that smile on the face and give people that specific encounter and just the simplicity, the nostalgia of being able to go out and connect again is really good.
Do you think that there are still just as many people, high school students,
Hmm.
that are have that approach as we've had in years past?
Oh, it's a good
Or
question.
is that changing because of social media? And I'm asking that question because I wonder if there's, if it's nature or nurture, that desire to serve. And even if it is embedded in you, does social media sometimes prohibit it from manifesting the way that we'd like it to? That is like such a freaking philosophical question, but
Yeah, that's a
really
good one.
curious about that now because of this generation that's coming in. And I don't get to interact with them other than my kids. But you do. And I'm curious about
Yeah.
that because I think that's just that is the heart of hospitality, is serving with a servant's heart. And I wonder if we have as many people these days that view the world that way because they're inundated with so much noise. They're on their screens a lot. There's not as much eye contact. There's not as much interpersonal communication. There's no more home phones. And social media portrays the world in the extremes where it has this appearance that you're either way over here or way over here, and everybody hates each other. Like I
Hmm.
feel like
Yeah.
it's very deleterious societal effects. But like I said, probably too much philosophy for this time of morning. But I am really curious your thoughts on.
Yeah, man. In my time zone, it's 9 o'clock. What are we doing?
I
What are we
know, but I can
doing?
tell you're a very thoughtful and intentional dude, and I can ask that
Yeah.
question, and you probably have some thoughts about it.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts actually. So my buddy who connected us and put us on, his name's Michael. Obviously, you know that, but for your listeners, and he and I talk about this quite often. So I know he has a handful of locations. We have five. We have 75 employees total. 69 of which are below the age of 21. So we are heavily Gen Z focused with our team. And so, Michael and I talk about this a lot, and this is something that's on my mind. You always hear the generation that's before you say something to the extent of, oh, kids these days, they're lazy, they're good for nothing, they're this, they're that, they're the other. And I'm like, can every generation think that? Like, or is each generation objectively getting worse? Or is it just something older people say because you're young and you're dumb and then you grow out of it? Or is there some merit there? And so when we talk, the thing that I think of when it comes to that is, I have been owning business for 14 years now, but I've been managing people for 20 years now.
Mm.
And what I say is every 3 or 4 years, I do think there is a shift in how people approach situations. I was always the one that's like, defending Gen Z or kids these days. And I think the last few years that's changed a little bit because this last shift, I would say it was a bigger window. I would say it's the COVID shift is what I call it. Something's definitely different about it. And so I think there's a lot of nuance in it, but I do think that the focus and the thing that motivates kids days has changed. And I don't think the collective shows up as energetic and excited to do the work as they used to. And this is going to date me, and I'm going to sound old saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I started working, minimum wage was like $5.25,
Mm.
and I just came and did the work. Like no matter how hard it was, my boss told me to do the work. I came and did the work, and it was what it was. And that just isn't the thing anymore because here minimum wage is $15. That's 3 times as much. But even from there is a certain entitlement that comes with the work. Oh, you've asked me to do too much. Oh, you're asking me to work too much. And it's not everyone, but I would say it has just changed. And again, there's a lot of nuance there, but I do think it's a conversation that keeps coming up for a reason. Um, and I don't know the objective answer. I just know that I've seen a change over the last 14 years of
Yeah.
kids these days.
Kids these days. Yeah. They're a product of their environment. They're a product of the environment, we put them in. And so they've been saying that. I mean, I'll date myself. I'm 51. Like I know that when I was my grandparents were like, kids these days. Like, so,
Yeah. Yeah. And
but
like I grew up my life, I'm 36. Half of my life, I didn't have a smartphone. I literally got a smartphone. I got the first iPhone
yeah,
freshman year of college when I was 18 years old. It was Gen 1. So literally half of my life was without a smartphone. And before that, I didn't even care about my phone. Like I had one, but it didn't do anything. So it was just in my pocket to talk to people. But like I am rooted in that. And then the other half of my life is obsession with technology like the rest of the world, but I can go back to not having that thing. I am terrified for my children who are just in this digital world and they don't know how to not be. And I can see that with my employees as well. But then you have those ones that are incredibly intentional and like maybe don't like their devices or they know when to cut off. I'm like, okay, there's a millennial parent somewhere in there that has, kind of taught them right in that regard.
there is. And there's also the innate human nature where some of us, I mean, I feel it more intensely, which is why I got rid of my iPhone. I mean, I had an iPhone 11. I mean, I had it through 2020, but even my kids, my 21-year-old daughter took a TikTok off her phone this summer. She's like, man, I can't. It's just,
Oh, that's awesome.
um, they they recognize it. I mean, my kids are of the generation where like they were right when the iPhones came out. We're like, who knows? Like, you don't know. Like, should we get them one? Should we not get them one? How long should they be? And what they're learning is that they they're very dialed into them, and but they don't want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they don't want to feel like that they have to constantly scroll through their phones. And so there's something there. There is something going on. And then they watch. I'm like the only person in my family that hasn't watched Stranger Things, and everybody I know has watched Stranger Things, and their kids are. But I mean, it takes place in the '80s, and all the kids are like, "That looks cool. Why does it look cool?" Well, because they were outside all the time, and they were had adventures, and they didn't have, they couldn't even find each other. Like, it's not like they could just like, look on Life 360 and figure out where their friend was. So,
Yep.
there is something there. I think the pendulum, the technology is real alluring, and it led us in one direction, but I think it's slowly starting to move back. And, you've got like schools, like my 10th grade son, when they get to school now, you have to put your phone in a bag, and you
Mm-hmm.
cannot have it during the day. And so, um, Jonathan Haidt wrote that book, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but it's gotten a lot of uh, publicity, and it's gotten a lot of schools paying attention, which is I think it's called the anxious generation, but
Yeah.
it's just it talks about the anxiety that it creates. And so um, it will be interesting to see what happens. As you said, like 3 or 4 years, like what will happen in the next 3. My guess is that by the time, I mean, we know enough now that y'all aren't just going to be just dropping iPads and iPhones into your kid's lap as soon as they're, old enough to hold one. Like, we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and so but I do think there is a type of person, and it's not everybody, but there is a type of person that wants to serve other people, wants to make people smile. There's something so rewarding about making somebody else feel happy and making them smile and making them feel like they're walking away better than when they came into your establishment, and you provide them with sustenance and intention and thoughtfulness and show them you care, that they're there. That's like awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you're right in all accords. And to be honest, that shift is already happening. I don't think we're just going to keep going in this direction and devolve into just complete chaos of like we're literally connected to these devices. So I think you're right. I think you have kiddos, so you're seeing it, and I have younger kiddos, but are employing a lot of these that you know I don't think it is random that specific businesses, like as hospitality and retail businesses, are starting to do even better. Certain sectors of them are doing better. And I think a frozen yogurt shop, ice cream shop, coffee shop, coffee is huge in Kansas City. Those industries are doing so well because they are so focused on community, especially in the world of those huge companies not doing well. So well, I don't want to say major brands, but like there's major brands, franchise or corporate or whatever it is, who aren't necessarily doing great, but those major brands in the same industry, local coffee shops, local ice cream shops, local froyo shops, bakeries, um, people like that, they're building community. And so they're coming around, and people want that in-person interaction. Early in the pandemic when it was like, oh, we're just never going to go to grocery stores again. Like, yes, we are. People want to talk to people. They have taken out a lot of the self-checkout lanes in Kansas City. If you make it so you don't interact with people, then what's my connection to your grocery store? What's my connection to your brand? If McDonald's puts uh, self-help kiosks everywhere and there's no connection, like people want that. People really do want that. So for our business, we're self-serve. We don't have to talk to you until you're at the scale, until you're at the register. But if you came into Fifth and Emery, what's the connection piece? We're such a commodity. There's 100+ frozen dessert places in Kansas City. How do I sink my claws in you to make sure you say, oh my gosh, I love Fifth and Emery. I love going there. They see me. They ask how my day is going. They have the colorful spoons. They have coloring pages for my kids. They, know me by name because we go in there and they ask. Like those things really matter to people. And I think that Gosh, your story about Stranger Things is one wild that you haven't seen it. I liked it a lot. But two, like the 80s to 90s, those times were so amazing, like so much connection. We're riding our bikes, we're skating, we're talking to people, we're interacting face to face. Like there's a huge resurgence of that coming back, resurgence, and I'm here for it. I think it's amazing. And I think that talking to my kids these days, our Gen Z employees are helping with that because they are the front line.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think with them, it's a chance to teach them, the ones that don't necessarily have the interpersonal skills that we did, because that's the only thing we could do. But then they also bring such an energy to the business that may not be there because we're, not able to be there because we have families or whatever that is.
Mm. Do you own all your locations?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 100%. No investors. My wife and I own all of them.
How did you okay, so tell me about starting the first one. So you self-funded it? Did you get a
Yeah.
SBA loan or anything, or how did you get it going?
Yeah, so I'll make a very long story very short. So, I went to Missouri Western. I knew I was going to get into business someday. I didn't think it was going to happen until I was older. I figured I'd need to work a few decades to build up the money, and then I would buy a business. Well, while I was at college, they created a entrepreneurial program that was helping graduating seniors to get right into business. My benefactor partnered with my university and also Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory Corporate because he owns super regional malls. And Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory was in a lot of his malls, so we had a good relationship with them. And this capstone course was you join the course, you write a business plan over a Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory location that was up for grabs. At the end, you present it to judges. And then if you won, you earn the right to be funded by the program to purchase that business. And you had 5 years to pay it off. So I went through that program at 22 and then got a word in my store at 23 and was shipped off to Iowa, about 4.5 hours away from where I live now. And I was a business owner at 23.
Wow.
And again, had no clue what to do and all that kind of stuff. But how amazing is this program that's funding a kid to get into business with support around him. And I got funded by the program to be able to do that. And so that was like my first start into business. And I ended up paying that loan off in a year and a half. Uh, the business wasn't doing necessarily great, but also I worked 90 plus hours. So labor was almost zero. So, the little money someone made before me, we made a lot because my labor was nothing. And so I've kind of done all of the financing. After that, we did a bank loan. I moved back to Kansas City, bought my first Yogurtini location. I've done friends and family. I have done an investment with a different business before, but the main thing I like to do is bank loans. To be honest, because I don't want partners. I don't want a true investor who can tell me what I can and can't do. So been pretty blessed in
Mhm.
that.
So you do so SBA loans?
Last year with an expansion was my first time doing an SBA loan. Before that, I'd only done traditional loans.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay, explain the difference to people that are learning and listening, and why would you do a traditional and why would you do an SBA?
absolutely. Well, I definitely know so much about this now going through the SBA process. So everyone's going to push you to SBA. And I would say in most circumstances, it's probably best. The benefit of SBA is, especially if you already have a business and you're going into that same business, it can be considered an expansion. So your down payment is zero. Even if you're not doing that, you'll pay a normal down payment of, let's say, 20%, sometimes lower, depending on the program. And the benefit of SBA is it's secured by the government. It
Hmm.
helps you be able to do it, and they're looking for cash flow. So if you do not have a business right now, and the business you're purchasing or getting into can show cash flow, they can utilize that to work that into your loan as long as it will hold the debt service and you are fully collateralized. With a traditional bank loan, the benefit of that is there's way less red tape, there's way less paperwork. You can close on that loan significantly faster than you can SBA. My SBA process took an entire year to do
Yeah.
because it just got more and more complex. And deals kept changing and that kind of stuff. But we got it. It's secured, 0% down, and it's great. If you don't have that time, traditional is significantly faster. Um, I think the rates are kind of the same. I've heard both parties of like my traditional is lower, my SBA is lower. I don't have the knowledge on that piece. I think most of them are prime plus a few dollars. Prime, for those who don't know, is just what the going rate is for interest rate set by the Fed. Yeah, so that's kind of my thought there. I would say if you can avoid SBA and do a traditional, do it. But also that secured piece is really, really nice. SBA isn't bad. It just really depends on the bank that you're going with because the bank is the one that makes it overly complicated, not necessarily the SBA process itself.
An SBA loan means that the bank only has 25% of the loan at risk. The government guarantees 75%. So sometimes it's a lot of red tape, but they're more willing to lend or lend maybe a little bit more. Typically floating rate on prime, 10
Mm-hmm.
payback, I think. But you can also shop those SBA loans. So all banks handle them differently. It's not cookie cutter.
Yep.
You also have a personal guarantee with SBA loans.
Yeah, yeah, personal guarantee. I would say the biggest thing that I would say is, like you just said it, like shop your SBA because the SBA process will be similar on specifically the SBA process of that process. A lot of processes in there, but after that, the bank can put as much as they want on that process. And the scenario I got into was the bank that I worked with sold me a bill of goods because I didn't necessarily do my homework and they made the process a living hell for me, almost to the point where we lost the deal doing our new location because it just took so long. So shop it, ask the questions on how big their SBA team is, but also ask them how many SBA loans they close a year. That's the question I did not ask. I just got sold on we have this big SBA team, but they weren't doing anything. So
For those of you listening, if you are considering an SBA loan and you want to get dialed into which banks do a lot of those and do them well, get in touch with me. I have a friend who works with a business that I can get all that information for you. So I'm happy to help any way that I can because there are a lot of, I mean, they're local banks. You can do you can do an SBA loan with a bank all the way across the country. So there's a lot of options. And, as Isaac said, like, do your due diligence and take your time and make sure because it can turn into a very long and arduous and, just full of headaches process. So,
yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice of you since you've already vetted them as well. So that is definitely a leg up for people. And if their loan isn't big, they could do SBA Express and it closes significantly faster. So I love that you're offering that to your listeners.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have a very good buddy that works. I've got my fingertips on all that data, like with a quick
Love it.
call. So, and that's important stuff. I mean, that can, like you said, that could have broken your deal. Like it could have made your deal come apart,
Yeah.
because of the length of the process and everything. So, all right. So you get your first one going. What year did you open the first location of Fifth and Emery?
Oh gosh, back then when it was Yogurtini, I bought that in 2015. So 3 years after I bought my Rocky Mountain, I moved back home to Kansas City, bought my first Yogurtini, and then for a year I owned Yogurtini and my Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory before I sold the Rocky Mountain in 2016.
Okay, so you sold that. When you sell so that's a franchise,
Mm-hmm.
and when you
Yep.
sell that, how do you sell that business? Do you go to the franchisor? How do you figure out the multiple? Who are the buyers? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a few options. I've done it a few ways, and I had friends do it a few ways. The options that were there for me with my franchise, I know some franchises will want you to come to them first because they have an internal buyer, typically a multi-unit operator who wants more locations. So that's just honestly the fastest way if you are part of a franchise is to sell it internally. For ours, we didn't have that. So then I had two options: sell it by myself, really like selling a house, sell it by yourself, or use a broker. I ended up using a broker since I was in a place that I wasn't from. I didn't really know anybody. And this broker sold me on the fact that they have a list of over 5,000 people they've already vetted, ready to buy a business. And so I was like, okay, if they already have this many leads, then the opportunity for me to sell this business faster is going to be greater with a broker.
Mm.
And so typically the rates I've seen, there's probably some outside of this, are between 8 and 15%. We signed a contract for 10% is what they would get of the sale price. And they came in, we increased the valuation of it by all the ad backs, anything that we could, and then we listed it. And we ended up getting a buyer within 11 days. Granted, it took 6, 7 months for it to actually close, but the first conversation happened with the one who bought my business after 11 days. So I loved that piece. I've had a lot of friends who have sold a business without a broker. Uh, you probably have a lot of advice on that. I won't offer any advice, but those are really the two that I have seen people do when it comes to selling a business or buying a business, being on that side as well.
Uh, Only thoughts would be if you have a broker, do the same thing you were talking about with the bank is vet the
Oh,
broker.
yeah. Hmm.
Brokers can create higher price, deal tension, all this kind of stuff. So just be careful, that like if they say they have a list of 5,000, cool. Let me talk to some people you've done business with. Take your time with that stuff. I mean, would you agree?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I vetted several of them. I did vet on this because my benefactor, he was like, you have to vet these brokers because some of
Yeah,
them aren't in it for your best interest. And
right.
so there's a few we talked to where they actually had some logos on their website of people they dealt with. So I called those places and they said, yeah, no, I would never do that
Ah,
again. So
yeah.
the individual I ended up working with, I'll never forget him. His name's Brian. Nicest guy, so good. He's retired now, still in Iowa, travels a lot with his family. We still talk. He'll check in. He'll hit me up on LinkedIn. Just like really, really good guy. But yes, absolutely vet your broker because they can make or break your deal. Actually, I have a friend in Huntington Beach right now. They listed their business for more than they even thought. They had a buyer and the broker killed the deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Broker ended up killing the deal because they were trying to negotiate on the backside to get money from the seller. And it was just a messy, messy situation. They were trying to work their way into the lease to get more as well. So killed the deal. My friends still have that business. So
Dang. Oh, man. That's frustrating. Yeah, there you go. Be careful. Take your time. You want the money, you want to get it done, but do it right. Uh, okay, so you sold that. You got Yogurtini. And then when did you rebrand?
yeah. So sold Rocky in 2016. 2018, we bought our second location. 2020, 3, 4 months into the pandemic, we bought our third location. We bought an orange leaf and flipped it into a yogurtini. And then it wasn't until 2025 that we ended up rebranding our three current locations at the time to Fifth and Emery.
Okay.
In 2023, our franchise got sold to a new owner group, and it just didn't work out between us, and so it was better for us to part ways. So ended up parting with the franchise, keeping my stores, and being able to rebrand them to Fifth and Emery. And then that deal closed April 2025, and we actually opened our fourth location in May 2025, and then our fifth location June 2025. So it was crazy 60 days.
So you've been through Rocky Mountain and Yogurtini. You were a franchisee and now you own all of your locations. Are you going to one day franchise your
That is the
concept?
number one question that I get. um, I don't know. I truly don't. I will tell you, I have done side projects. I've had a few startups. We still have a nonprofit. We've done cool stuff like that. It is a different beast when you're in the industry that you absolutely love and you're good at. There's other things didn't quite work out that I did. With this industry, this is something that if I won the lottery right now, I would still keep doing this business. I absolutely love it. And the freedom is a beautiful thing. I didn't understand what that was going to feel like, and I love the fact that we can do whatever we want with our business. Like, do we want to franchise it? Do we want to grow it to other cities? Do we want to do nothing and just, you know, keep folding into what we do in the Kansas City metro? And so internally, our team is saying, maybe we'll franchise, but give ourselves 5 years before we say a definitive yes or no. Um, yeah, I'll say right now I'm leaning towards no. I think that I'm just not ready yet. I haven't even been out for a year, but I think at the fifth year, kind of just depending where we're going, I think it could be a possibility when we've systemized and we have a well-oiled machine that you can't guarantee, but close to guarantee that if someone else bought into our franchise, they could have success.
Do you, how many, how many do you have planned to open this year?
We're opening one more this year. We're trying to figure out what next year is going to be. But
Right.
last year we had a 5-year goal. So by 2030, I think we can max out Kansas City at 9 locations. And
Right.
then I would love to add a 10th just to say we have 10 locations here. I think that'd be pushing it. So 9 is the goal by 2030.
Does that account for like growth? I mean, is Kansas City growing or
Oh
people?
yeah, Kansas City is exploding. It's growing everywhere. St. Louis is not. I think that's kind of our biggest thing is Kansas City. St. Louis has always been bigger than Kansas City. It's always been kind of the most known in Missouri, but St. Louis, they lost the Rams, they lost a few other sports teams, and things just are kind of struggling the economy there. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people are fleeing St. Louis to come to Kansas City. But we're also getting a lot of people from the other quote unquote bigger cities that are close. Chicago is a big city, obviously, but Des Moines and Omaha, we're getting a lot of people from there as well. I think we kind of got put on the map because of our sports teams, but our economy is booming here right now.
All right. Walk me through your concept. So you've got self-serve frozen yogurt, and
Hmm.
you've got chocolate candy apples.
Yep. Yep. So, like I said, for 10 years, just self serve frozen yogurt. Come in, you grab a cup, put as much yogurt and toppings as you want. We weigh it. Your process is done. We did a lot of things around that, but to boil it down, very simple, process. And then we wanted to rebrand and we wanted to add the chocolates and caramel apples in because I cut my teeth on that. I love selling and making chocolates. I love selling and making caramel apples. But the business reason for that is a self-serve frozen yogurt store is busy. It's busiest time is May to August. I'll be generous and say April through October or so, March through October even. But we can count on either losing money or close to losing money November through February.
Mm, got it.
Well, with chocolates and caramel apples, the literal busy time with chocolates and caramel apples is October through February. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, which we're preparing for now. Valentine's Day is the king of them all for the chocolate world. So we're going from being a seasonal, very, very seasonal business where we have to make our money in the summer to now we're a well-rounded business because Froyo, let's say, pays the bills in the spring, summer, and fall.
Yep.
And then chocolates and caramel apples pay the other bills in the late fall and then in the winter.
Man, that's brilliant, dude. I mean, that's something that would work, you know, in a lot of the country that's particularly, from the Carolinas and all the way through the Midwest and up. I mean, when you've got, and maybe in the Southeast too, but you've just got a real winter season where people are not going to go buy frozen yogurt.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful pairing too. There's this funny meme that's going around, not a meme, but someone posted this and it's just been going around for years where it says, frozen yogurt shops. Now that it's winter, I need you to take out the topping bar and put in a mashed potato bar. And I get sent that 3 times a week, every winter for the last 6 years. I get sent that and people are like, "You're up. Here's your idea." I'm like, "That sounds great, but it is so different than what we offer. It would be so weird to people."
Yeah.
And we tried a hot chocolate bar, and hot chocolate just isn't dynamic enough to be able to get people where we're at. It's cold. So get people out of their house, get into the cold, come inside, drink the hot chocolate, enjoy it, warm your body up, and then go out in the cold again. It's just not enough. So the chocolate and caramel apple piece is something that is dynamic enough and sought after enough. And honestly, now nostalgic enough where
Yeah.
people do want that for a treat. But the big thing for those is that's a gifting item.
Mm.
Like you may eat a few pieces, but then you're going to get a box of chocolates for a loved one for all the different occasions. And now it opens it up for shipping where you can't ship frozen yogurt, but you can ship caramel apples and chocolates, And then now it opens it up for in person pop ups and booths. And that's been really amazing for us. We've done so many more of those. So it makes it a more engageable business where we didn't have the engagement 12 months out of the year. Now we have it. You can see us at all the different events. You can come in and get whatever you want. And the people who come in and don't like froyo, you have an option now. Chocolates, caramel apples, frozen yogurt, edible cookie dough, dipped bananas, dipped cheesecake. Like we have kind of whatever you want. Unless you don't have a sweet tooth, then we have nothing for you. But
Well, I was just thinking, like, I mean, I always feel like things like frozen yogurt and chocolates and ice cream, like you're most of the time you're going to get people that are going to be happy and leave with a smile because I mean, like,
yeah.
how do you have a caramel apple and not be happy?
Yeah, if we're doing it right, even if you come in and you're not happy, we should put a smile on your face by the time you leave. That is our goal. We live and breathe smiles and good interactions and family moments.
Do you are you really dialed into that in your training and intentional about like be present, make eye contact, smile, ask them how they're doing, make them feel welcome. I mean, I would imagine that's something that I just feel like it's so rare now.
Yeah, I
That
would
you,
say we are not anywhere near where we want to be with it. When you walk in, you'll be able to know who is a manager because they're in the meetings with us every single Wednesday. Like they live it, they breathe it, they love it. I would love that energy to get all the way down to our 14-year-old team members, and it doesn't always. So that's something we're definitely working on. Hard. That's probably our biggest thing. We're like, if we can harness that, like, I don't know, Chick-fil-A factor, I guess,
right.
then that alone would revolutionize how people look at our business. And maybe we could transform how people do retail business by like, okay, this is how you treat people in this industry.
Oh man, I mean, the Chick-fil-A model is it's pretty freaking impressive. I mean, they got a lot of people working in there. They're spending a lot on labor, but boy, does it pay off
Hmm.
because you 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 you're going to get 95% of the time a very positive experience. Therefore, you just keep going back.
Yeah. To
Um,
the point of that being a meme. Like if someone doesn't say my pleasure to you, you're
my
like,
pleasure.
wait,
Whoa.
what? Where's my that's really funny. I mean, they're so consistent where that rarely happens, but it's not even just the my pleasure. It's the demeanor, how people come off. You feel like they want to be there. There's a hunger and a passion for connecting with you, good eye contact. Like there's been very few times top to bottom that and we have one right by our house that we don't have a good interaction at
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A. Like I can't think of one right now. It's probably happened, but they're just good in that regard.
they're just good. They are. Uh, do you have a I'll tell you why I'm asking this. Do y'all have like a loyalty or like you get points if you've been enough times and get credit or something like that?
Yeah, so it's funny when we started, we did the uh, you know, paper punch cards, buy 10 caramel apples, get one
Yeah.
free, that whole thing. And, when I came over to the yogurt side, the reward system was through the POS and really, really liked it. And now it's just a dollar amount. You spend X amount, you get this amount of points, you get this amount off. And so we've kept that over the last 11 years now of being in frozen yogurt. And we just got a new system a year and a half ago, and it's been really great. It's all integrated, so it all kind of tracks. It's been nice.
What system do you use?
We have Toast.
You have to, so it's all in there. Yeah. I asked that because I'm like obsessed with pay it forward.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I go to this coffee shop. Again, it's right. I'm going to go there after we're done.
Hmm.
Called the Daily Grind. I pay too much for coffee there. I'm cheap. I don't like paying a lot. I'm just cheap. But I pay a lot for coffee there that I don't want to pay, but I pay for the smiles. I don't,
Yeah,
I pay, it's an investment. Like it is an investment because I walk out of there happy every time.
I love it.
What I started doing there is I will give the barista $5 and I'll say, use this on whoever you want to today before your shift ends. Somebody that you want to use it for, you get to pick. Your choice. If it's a mom that's got a screaming kid and looks stressed, or if it's an on-duty police officer, like, and all I ask is that you tell me the story the next time you see me.
That's awesome.
And it's been this. I mean, like, I get chill bumps right now. Like the stories, it's just so awesome. And so I've been obsessed with this for a long time, and I'm trying to uh, like find a way to do that digitally at scale. And I think that the credit, the loyalty programs could be a way to do that because I went in and they were like, hey, you got 50 points. What does that mean? Oh, well, you get $5 towards your next, you got $5 in credit or whatever. And I was like, that's it. Like you could say you got $5. Do you want to use it on you or do you want to pay it forward? And I,
Mm,
what is pay it forward? And they're like, oh, well, we put it in and then like we can use it. Dude, pay that forward. Pay that forward. Like, can you imagine how many people would be like, pay it forward, man? No sweat.
yeah, I think a lot would. I think a lot would, and I think a lot of people like, well, the economy's not good. It feels to me, and this may be completely wrong. Like, yes, the economy's not good, and people are hurting, and I feel that as well, big time. I think that people want to help a lot. I don't want to say a lot more, but they also want to help in that time because even if you're hurting, you also know someone else is hurting. And just like we have the passion to connect with people and whatnot, other people also have that compassion to connect with people. Like my wife is such a nurturer. She lives and breathes waking up to serve other people. And there's a lot of humans like her in the world who just want to do that. So I think that'd be amazing. And you get the option. If you need it, you use it.
Use it.
You
Yep.
use that money. But if you want to this time around send that percent off or whatever it is to someone, then by all means, pay it forward. I love that. That's a good idea.
Frictionless, like no pressure. It's just, hey, we got this pay it forward. What is that? Oh, okay. I'll use it for myself today, maybe next time, whatever. Or no, I really, really need this. Like, I've had a rough month. Like, this is my only treat. Oh, really? Cool. We're going to buy your coffee. You got like, an $8 order. You got $5 in credit. We're actually going to use some pay it forward money for you.
Yeah, that's
See,
awesome.
like, I'm obsessed with it, Isaac, because I really
I
think
think
that
it's good.
people generally, where it came from. It's what made me think is we were talking about Chick-fil-A, and there's this thing. I don't know if it still happens, but when my kids were young and we would go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through, um, it was this thing where people would buy the order for the person behind them in line. And so I had heard about it and I was like, that's really cool. So I'd have like three little kids in the minivan and, we'd pay and I'd be like, hey, we're going to buy that order for the people behind us, kids. And then we would be like, hey, we'll pay for their order. And we pay for the order. And then we would just drive up and park because the kids would turn and they'd look and like they would watch it happen. And then like we'd roll the windows down and they would wave and they'd like,
That's awesome.
ever.
I
And
love
like,
that.
I was always like, man, and I was like, doesn't that feel good to like do that first? And they're like, that's awesome. And then it got to be every single time. Can we buy the order? I'm like, well, dude, we can't buy it like every it's kind of cool every now and then, but that's what
Yeah.
really kind of like, I was like, man, I wish there were a way to just nudge that concept a little bit because I think most people like people don't think to do that. Like I'm very deliberate, so I go do it, but most people aren't thinking to do that. But
Hmm.
like kind of nudge them just a little. it could be really meaningful. And I think that this could, it could be could help our society a little bit, like something
Yeah.
really positive.
Yeah, the thing I think about, I had a buddy that used to use this a lot, but he would always talk about a ripple effect. So he
Mm.
would talk about doing something good, or doing something bad as well, but like doing something good. Uh, One interaction with someone, one smile that you put on someone's face, one encounter where you made them feel seen, one give back or pay it forward, that just ripple effects out because you don't know what that person's day was like. It could be good and then you made it even better. It could be bad and you turned it around. And how are they going to then go and interact with the world after that? Like it could turn someone's day around. I mean, we are in an epidemic of, we have it a lot in Kansas City, unfortunately, but mental health crisis and suicidal ideations and suicidal attempts. You could literally save a life,
Totally.
all the way to inspiring someone to make the leap into their own business because how you made them feel. And now all of a sudden they set out like my mission is to make people feel loved, seen, and heard and create a space to do that, you know? Like, I think that's amazing. You have a lot of clients that you're working with and a lot of people that you can kind of do that with to inspire them to take that into their business. For us, we serve, I don't know, this year we should serve around 600,000 cups of frozen yogurt. Like, we have a lot of pull in that. So I think that is really cool. I think that's a great thing that could ripple effect out and be a big positive. And you have people all over the United States. So like there's multiple ripple effects in different regions too. So I love that, man.
Yeah, I'm talking, just like very preliminarily, but I am talking to a big point of sale company right now about the idea. And I'm going to, you probably are with me on this a little bit. I'm probably extreme, but I just believe that when you really want something and you see it, even if everybody else thinks you're crazy, you, if you just pursue it doggedly and you can manifest it, most things you can
Yeah,
make, you can
100%.
will it into existence. That's why businesses exist. Like somebody had to go, I believe I can do this and I'm gonna turn this idea into something that is a thing. And um, so I'm, I always say like, this isn't a matter of if this is going to happen, it is when. And like, that's how I have to look at it. So I
Yeah.
just keep pursuing it.
Yeah. How many stories can you think of in your mind right now that people said you were crazy and then you did it? And then
Oh,
they're like, good job, man. No, you could do it. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, probably your entire business, starting this entire business, people are like, why? That's already a thing. Why? It already exists. Just go work for this company. Or why are you doing it that way? That's not a good way to do it. And like, you did it. And now you're cutting edge in that way. So I love that for you. I think there's no reason for it to fail. Minimum, no one uses it and they just take it for themselves. But we know the human condition and we know humans, they're going to, even if it's every fifth one, every fourth one, every third one, you have tech on the backside to track it. Like we know every third one, people are going to pay it forward to someone else.
yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. You have to, that's the difference typically. Honestly, it's like why you're doing what you're doing right now. Most people, and I'm not faulting them. I just not everybody should be an entrepreneur. But a lot of people stop when it just gets really hard because
Yeah.
I mean, dude, it's hard. Like it's hard. There's a lot of hard nights. There's a lot of like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Like, can I keep doing? I mean, there's a lot of that when you are an entrepreneur. Um, and a lot of people just part of the reason we do this podcast, Isaac, is that some people need to know how hard it is to save themselves making a mistake and
Hmm.
losing a bunch of money doing something that maybe they're not really cut out to do. I'll tell you that when I started this in March of 2010, and my goal was to give restaurant owners a platform to share their stories that would educate people and inspire people. And part of the education may be to educate you that maybe this isn't what you want to do. I got my own education for that because in my mind, initially, I was like, I'm going to own a restaurant one day and I'm not going to do it until I've learned from all these awesome restaurant owners what the secret sauce is. And I started hearing all these stories. I was like, I do not have that in me. I am not cut out for that. Like, good. I saved myself like going and probably, you know,
Yeah.
blowing my life savings doing something that I probably wouldn't have really like been able to do for real long. Um, so this is, even just stuff like that SBA debt and finding a broker, man, this stuff's it helps people learn. And then hearing your story is it's inspiring, man. It's awesome to hear your story and your positive energy and your love for what you do. I mean, I can't thank you enough for coming and talking,
Yeah.
sharing the story.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I agree with you. I mean, before we jump, I want to remind you I have to hear about this flip phone. I have to, because I've had something on my mind that I am just curious how you do it and still kind of stay tapped into all the things. But with these stories being told, I really love it because you are correct in that of like not everyone's an entrepreneur. I if it when I see that on social media, I'm like, you can own a business, but like the true entrepreneurial spirit, I do think you are born with it. And I have a lot of friends who are business owners turned into entrepreneurs who don't have that, but they were taught and trained around entrepreneurs for so long that they create a good plan so they could work the system, but they're still the owners, and they make a good business when it comes to that. More of them end up getting into it and they're like, I don't want to live this. Several of them successful business owners and they're like, nope, this isn't, I don't want to deal with this. And I think that's okay. In our program, I'm a mentor for a lot of the ones who are going through it. My active goal is to convince you not to do it.
Yeah.
Convince you not to do it. There's no one that could have convinced me when I went through that program in the fourth year of the program being existing that I wasn't going to do it. No one could have done that. And I did an internship with someone in a store and I saw how hard it was, but you
Yeah.
couldn't talk me out of that. But
Yeah.
almost every single person who's failed in our program should have never gotten a store.
Right. Right.
And we saw the yellow and red flags from the beginning. But we're like, oh, but they're so smart. They put together a good plan. But we're like, they just don't have, as some people say, that dog in them. Um,
Dude.
and it's just okay if not every single person is an entrepreneur. I say sometimes it's better if you're an entrepreneur. If you can find an amazing situation where someone else lets you run their company, but you
Yeah.
can sleep at night because you get to clock in and out and you let the owner take all that. I love that for you. My district manager operationally runs my business, but when she's
Yes.
clocked out, she doesn't have to have the stress of paying tax and,
Right.
net profit being enough to be able to do this and that and make sure the electric bills are staying on and getting a call in middle of the night because the alarm's going. Like I handle all that stuff. I hold that on my shoulders, and like that's okay. It just doesn't have to be for everybody.
I love the entrepreneur. Yes. You said something, that dog in you. I always say, um, something similar, which is it's like the dog after a ball mentality, right? Like I got a I had a dog, I had a Springer Spaniel one time, and every time I threw that dog that ball, she'd go chase it and bring it back.
Yeah.
And she'd go until she was like couldn't even walk anymore. Like it's just that like get after itness. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. All right. I'm happy to well, first I'll tell you about the flip phone, but the most obvious question that I have not asked yet, which anybody's gonna want to know is why Fifth and Emery? What does that mean?
Ooh, good one. So Fifth and Emery is inspired and named after my wife and I's children. So we have 4 and 2-year-old, 4.5, and almost a 3-year-old. But my daughter's name is Sage, and her middle name is Emery. So that's inspired by her. And then the fifth portion, my son is named Isaac. He's Isaac the fifth generation of Isaac. So we named it after the kids. Honestly, being franchisees for 14 years, 13 at the time when we rebranded, we were struggling with the name and we just couldn't think of what to make it be because we're like, what's the thing that we can make people think frozen yogurt, chocolate caramel apples when they see a word or whatever it is? And we just couldn't come up with it because before it was yogurtini. So, there's some variation of yogurt in the business. And then my creative director is like, maybe we look at it differently and just double down on like what you truly, truly love and what means the most to you. But also we can wrap in the narrative of you going independent from uh, the franchise. And I said, the thing that really means the most to us and the thing that we do all day and hang out with all day is our kids. She's like, let's start looking at that. And so we wanted to do it in a way where it wouldn't get in the way. And we just didn't call it, Isaac and Sage
Yeah, right.
or Quinn and Sage, which we call him because he's the fifth. So Fifth and Emery sounds premium. It sounds like an intersection. If we decide to expand and do other things in the future, we can have this be a strong brand name. I want to get into more acquisitions in the future. So if we acquire someone, part of our business can be Fifth and Emery acquisitions or Fifth and Emery marketing or whatever that is. But at the end of the day, it goes with our brand about being about legacy, about community connection, integrity, sparking joy. That's all what we do with building our family. And we want to do that while serving other people's families as well. So,
Love it, dude. That's
yeah,
awesome.
good question.
Great story. Well, what do you want to know? I mean, in 2020, I had an iPhone 11. This is during COVID and, June of 2020. And I, there wasn't even a whole lot going on I mean, all of our customers are restaurants. A lot of them are shut down or whatever. But I was on my freaking phone all the time and I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand the fact that I'm just like constantly not even present, like I'm around my family, but I'm over here. I just didn't like it. So I kind of felt like the only way to not do that is just not have one. And so I
Yeah.
walked into the Verizon store here in Waxhaw and put my phone down. I said, I don't want this anymore. I want a flip phone. I said, I don't see any out here. Do you have any? He's like, I got some in the back. He's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And he brings out this phone and he's like, I bet you'll be back in 2 weeks. And I was like, well, you're probably right. I mean, that's fair. You're probably right, but I got to try it. So, I mean, I spend a lot of time talking like old school, I talk on the phone a lot. I text, but it's like not, you just can't sit there and dictate
Quite the same.
no. So the texts are, and then what I do is like, I'm on my laptop right now. I have my iCloud. And so like my text chain with my family or my friends, it all goes on there, but I don't carry it with me. And when I sit down, if I want to look at my texts, when I'm at my laptop at my desk, I do. So for me, it's like getting home at night and there's like 87 texts, from friends and like stupid stuff that I don't need to see during the day. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like I don't want that during the day. I like to stay focused.
I
So
love that, man.
people know if they need me, just call, like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I love that. That's a ripple effect right there because I really want to figure out how to do it. I won't take up too much of your time, so I'll ask you more of these offline. But I really love that piece. I'm the same way. I miss the days. I'm so nostalgic. I'm a big gamer, and I just think about my childhood a lot. And I'm like, one, I'm trying to figure out how to work this into the business because if I'm feeling this as a 36-year-old and other people are as well, how do we allow people to be with people more and put down the phone and the iPad and all the things? But in my own life, I also want to practice that of just not letting my phone take up all the time. And, my kids are young, so I want to be able to maximize the time with people at work, but also my family when I get home. And I embarrassingly enough spend too much time on my phone when I've been working a 12-hour day and I get home. And these people are number one to me. And it's very hypocritical for me to say that and then have the audacity to pull up Facebook and scroll when my kids are sitting across from me. So, yeah, man, inspired by you. I love that.
It's exactly why, because I was there with my family. We live on a farm. We have some old horses. We have dogs. We have a lot going on that you should be doing, not sitting there, like during COVID when everybody's kind of cooped in and like on this phone. And, there's something satisfying about like literally just even the phone itself, just, cause
Yeah.
I don't,
It's right up
there's
close.
I'm not like walking down the street, like, pulling my phone out and just checking like, cause there's nothing to check. I mean, like, so it just goes away. And I think that it makes you more present and intentional just by default. wherever you go. When I walk over to the coffee shop, I'm not gonna be sitting there in line ordering like, and looking at my, texts or, whatever, my social media. I'm I'm present.
Yeah,
So it's
love
been
that.
very healthy for me. It's been very healthy for me. But I tend to be an all-in kinda guy, so, like, I kinda had to go all in on this thing, and they did write. You can look my name up and write look up Will Brawley, USA Today. This lady from the USA Today contacted me 2 years ago, and, she was writing articles about the movement back to, quote, "dumb phones," and, she heard on LinkedIn about me, and she's like, "Would you wanna be in this article?" "Sure," and, so
That's
they wrote
awesome.
this article about it, how people were, and they had college kids that were in it too, like, there were college kids that are like, I don't want this thing," and so, um, yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
I love
interesting.
that. Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna look up that article, and I may have more questions for you on that. I know I need for my business to be able to take pictures, so I'm like, is there a dumb phone that they know people want to get off of all the other stuff, but the camera is extremely good, or do I start actually? My webcam is an actual camera, so maybe I take that with me and get good at that. But that's my only thing that's stopping me. But it's just an excuse as well. So I think I'm gonna do it.
Well, you might keep looking. I mean, there are better, like, there's like the Motorola Razr is back now, and that probably has a good camera. I'll tell you what I do. I mean, frankly, when I need a good picture, I'm just like, "Hey, can I borrow your phone, and then can you send it to me?" I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a good idea.
I can email it to me, like, because everybody else has an iPhone, right? Everybody, I mean, you can find a good camera, like, real quick wherever you
Yeah,
are, and
yeah,
so
that's a good
that's
point.
my little hack for that.
That's a really good point. All right. Well, you inspired me again, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you got my number. Call me anytime, Isaac. I'm happy to rap about anything. I really enjoy talking to you a lot, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited to tune in and listen to more episodes.
You bet. All right, y'all. That's another wrap. Go to your Isaac. This is for you too. Go to your Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you listen. Give us a 5-star rating. If you make a comment, even better, because the more engagement we have with the podcast and the ratings, then the more those algorithms put this stuff out there. So thank you all for listening. Uh, Thank you for watching. Thank you for being an incredible audience. And we will have more episodes coming soon. See ya.